Good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever it is. Welcome back to the Silver Gauntlets, the Wanderer bracket of the Triforce Blitz tournament. Isn't in the grand finals. We have game 2 for you. Natheirean dropping the first game to Egodev, who is 1-0 up in this best of 3. I am Benjy Reese, delighted to be back in the booth, joined by the one and only Elagatua.
Hello, everybody. Really excited to be back here commentating. I got a chance to watch Game 1. It was terrible. I'm really hoping that we will get a better seed for Game 2. But if you missed the first game, there was something like a 0-11-18 where the zero piece was found like 8 minutes into the seed. And Egodev managed to get it first by like 15 seconds because he didn't buy a shield, and then they were basically it all boiled down to strengths being unhinted and multiple strengths available, and they could have been anywhere in the seed with no information pointing to them that was locking us out of Adult Spirit, and they were both in Ice Cavern. So anyway, we're started here, and let's see what we're going to get this time.
Sounds like an absolute doozy. And apparently it seems not buying a shield triumphs over buying a shield. So we have 11, 9, and 11. So certainly some counts to be getting your teeth into there. And the 9, which is Wisdom, has a path item inside Ganon's castle. So trying to get one of those dungeons complete as quickly and as swiftly as possible. There's a lot of seed to get your teeth into here, as Nath, unsurprisingly, dipping into the big post shop to try and farm some rupees.
Yeah, I'm really excited about these path counts. One of the nice things about playing best of threes is the feels of the seeds vary so much depending on those path counts, and something that is all paths below 5 plays very differently from something like this, where all the paths are around 10. And so the runners have to adapt to the seed that they're playing in, and this is going to reward a different style of play than what we saw yesterday in the first game. So I'm excited to see how things change up, and unless there's any major logic skips, I imagine we're going to be here for a little bit, and this is probably not going to end in the first hour. So yeah, get comfy.
Congratulations to Belgarath, by the way, winning an 85-1 payout to gain over 42,000 channel points. And Rufio has your iron boots, so depending on your feelings, that's either some nice DLC, or alternatively, we're doing some checks that nobody likes.
Yeah, it's a little early to know anything, but we've got the standard opener. Looks like the 20 skulls hint, we're going to be devoid of information, at least until a little bit later on. So unless
that's a shame, because
probably standard opening.
I was going to say with two golden skulls in the seed hash, and then mirror shield and silver gauntlets, I was fully expecting a required item for Arrold Spirit on 20 skulls, but alas, the seed hash just lied to me again.
All I gotta say is yesterday we saw a grand total of 0 skulls collected between the two players, and I loved it.
It's certainly it's not a huge time sink, because you're at most going to get 20, and 20 is always hinted. So a lot of the time you're only going to be getting 10, and it's not a huge time sink, but it's tiny little time sinks all the way.
Yeah, I think the right way to do it is you can pick up some skulls along the way if they're just literally right in front of your face. But I find that if I get the normal ones, I end up with about 6 or 7, and then I get busy and I stay on 6 or 7 forever. So I just got to stop getting them at all after I realized I was doing that.
Yeah, it's a little change to try and find ways to effectively route them in, but it is a change. Sometimes I do find it funny when runners immediately buy a shield, and then there just happens to be a free shield knocking around somewhere, but we haven't seen one yet.
Well, Natheirean not leave anything to chance. I think obviously in game one, the shield played a big role, and that's I think the first time I've ever seen that happen, where buying a shield ended up being the difference in the seed. But I
I
think
mean,
it's a good move.
Nath is a staunch, a devout follower of always buying a shield, and I know that Egodev and actually Kreyas, who they beat in the semi-finals, there was a lot of not shield buying going on that was worrying chat. So yeah, these two kind of flying the flag specifically for kind of their way of thinking on the shields.
Yeah, I'm firmly in Team Buy a Shield too, especially in Triforce Blitz, because depending on what items you find in your early CAC plays, if you find any explosives, you often end up in Goron City going through that shortcut and getting like the Kokiri Forest checks. And if you find Hookshot in Kokiri Forest, you might end up in Forest Temple. And if you end up in Forest Temple, then you're probably going to wish you had a shield. So you never know how long your adult one is going to end up, and having a shield can save you a lot of execution time. And we've got our first big chest. And
oh my word, Dampe, what are you doing? That's already boot percent achieved. And Bruto's letter.
Well done.
So we've got 3 items, which I don't think anyone particularly enjoys so far. The other, there, thanks Ventinor for the rush ice, obligatory. The other thing with buying a shield is buying a shield does help a lot of the time setting up with various kind of skips and tricks. Although you can avoid that dilemma by just simply not being good at the tricks and thus not having to buy a shield.
So with the Iron Boots showing up, I'm wondering if Natheirean might end up going River. Looks like he's saving though, so looks like it's going to be Child. There is an opportunity when you get either a Scale or Iron Boots in your opener to go to River as adult and then go through the shortcut into Lost Woods to pick up that extra song. It ends up giving you a bunch of easy checks and especially a lot of early information. But it's nothing obligating the runners to do that. It's just kind of an opportunity that's there. But it seems like we're going to get a pretty standard opener, just chasing the songs. And with Prelude, going Child early is solid. Not going to lose time trying to route back to adult.
No, it's one of those things where obviously it's never going to open any checks for you, but the ease of movement is most welcome.
Yeah, and with these path counts, I'm sure in the back of their mind they're thinking that the time limit may become a factor. So having that early Prelude effectively increases the number of checks that the runners are going to be able to do, because they can just pack more stuff into this 2 hours.
There's a Graveyard Path to Courage. So take your pick there. Hover Boots, Ruto's Letter, maybe something we haven't seen.
Yeah, I'm looking at our stones, Shadow and Jabu, the other 2 stones. Feel like if something was on OOT, we'd be pretty close to the 11 to 9 range just by that itself. So something to keep an eye on, but yeah, with the Dongos and Forest and Fire being the other 3, more likely for for Prelude or Nocturne to make an appearance and be a factor rather than OT. But we'll have some hints, hopefully, that will give us that information and keep us from having to guess.
Nath's now going to pick up the Hyrule Castle 1 hint, and presumably... Well, we'll see actually if he goes for Hyrule Castle 2, or whether he chooses to cut and run. He's just going to cut his losses.
Yeah, it's a good idea to kind of bail out of there. If you go for that second castle hint, you kind of run into time of day issues getting to Lon Lon, where it's going to turn night right before you get there. But if you leave immediately, he still should be able to get to Lon Lon right before it gets to night, and then that'll set up the rest of his routing nicely.
Egodev, are you feeling okay?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to farm the rupees, go back into castle, buy the shield. But I think with Prelude, he knows he's probably not going to be running by that shop anytime soon. So just wants to have it because it's something that you could easily forget later on, especially if a bunch of warp songs show up and he's not going to have a chance to go by the CAC market shop or anything like that.
I can't believe he bought a shield. I mean, to do it as child as well. That's hey, whatever works for him as well. You mentioned trying to make sure that the time of day is right to get into Lon Ranch here before the sun sets, and I think Egodev is going to be just fine here. Yeah, you mentioned as well with the potential we've seen items that would potentially lead to those stone dungeons in Bruto and in the hover boots. It would certainly lead me to kind of keep my ears up if we see Sarias or Minuet. And I know that we're child now, but I must admit, at some point, maybe when you go back adult, a cheeky little Mido skip to see what's on the adult Sacred Forest Mido check could be handy to see if maybe it's just getting you items to get logical forest access.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was alluding to early with the early iron boots, because that's something you can route into your adult one if you choose to go that route. And depending on how long the seed is, like it could be a very powerful warp song that unlocks like additional songs early, or provides information about the layout of the seed. If like Saria's song or Minuet ends up being on that Minuet check, then that kind of tells you a lot about the value of the other forced access songs. So we'll kind of see what shows up. I mean, with Serenade being there, it looks like it's very strange that Serenade would show up in a Triforce Blitz seed. So it's nice of it to return from its vacation spot on the Ocarina of Time check.
Some of its value lessened a little bit by already having Prelude, because one of the benefits of Serenade as child is that it kind of works as discount Prelude with the Owl Warp back to Hyrule Castle Town.
Yeah, but if any of the lake checks become Path, or we need Scarecrow, or we end up needing to go to Jabu later for that Ruto's letter, going to be helpful. And I'm so used to Serenade just never being available in Triforce Blitz and losing tons of time to it. So seeing the Baron song show up early is actually just kind of nice.
Yeah, it certainly means that every song check is going to have something logically behind it, at least. And kind of also means that we're kind of maybe getting a little bit of a sense for where foolish locations might be. We didn't see anything in Lon Ranch, so fully expecting to see that come foolish at one point.
Yeah, and Egodev, kind of going with our first major divergence here, going to take advantage of Serenade and do back of lake hints. I like this play, especially with Serenade there. And Graveyard being Courage again. That seems very suspicious that that Graveyard could potentially be double, especially given what we've seen there. Just when you see a dupe hint in like your first set of like 3 paths that you find, you should probably be suspicious that there might be a double as well.
Yeah, just kind of running the logical numbers there. You think, what are the chances of finding it twice in the first 3 hints? Don't you check? There's Death Mountain Crater to Courage and Desert Colossus to Wisdom.
Yeah, so the information is flowing in droves now. Colossus being Path is interesting because oftentimes that means that the way to get to Colossus is going to be involved in the paths as well, the being Requiem likely, and Deku Tree Foolish.
Yeah, as well as Spirit Temple to Power as well. So getting across the wasteland into Spirit Temple, I feel like is going to be useful. But we've seen 2 path locations that have song checks there. Didn't look like anything in the Ruto's letter check.
Yeah, just some protection. It seemed like Fortress Baron. But yeah, I mean, a hook shot. That's a nice pickup there.
That is a very handy pickup to get nice and early. Egodev getting his Scarecrow setting in there nice and early. I haven't seen many people stump for big changes to Triforce Blitz, but one of the things that I've seen alluded to a couple of occasions is people kind of considering whether free Scarecrow would be nice, but it's a tricky balance because on the one hand, it's nice and easy, it's good quality of life, but on the other hand, it is one of those things that maybe helps people go into Lake Hylia where otherwise they might not.
Yeah, I mean, spoilers. It's gonna certainly happen for season 2. The only reason it didn't happen for season 1 is I never even crossed my mind. And then I think HoloLogic pointed it out to me, and I was like, wow, why didn't I think of that? But at that point, it was already pretty late into the dev cycle. So that's one of the things kind of at the top of my list for season 2 down the road. There's some other things as well that I have in mind that are that haven't been kind of revealed yet, but definitely a lot of ideas floating around the back of my mind.
A little sneak peek into what might happen in the future there. That's good to see. I must admit, I quite like going to pick up Scarecrow, because it's one of those things that makes me root in those lake checks. Often I'd forget, and I found that doing the Valley Lake loop seems to be so much more fruitful in Triforce Blitz than it should be. I don't know why, but I feel like I see so many good items there.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way at first, and then I did one seed with free Scarecrow on, and that was it. I was like, okay, we're keeping this forever.
Yeah, it's nice to not have to worry about, I don't have a long shot and I might need to get to Pierre at the top of Fire Temple, and even if I do have a long shot, do I really want to pixel shot? To which the answer is no. No, of course I don't. And other little things like this, like getting through the Sacred Forest Meadow a bit quicker and easier. There's just so many places where you think, oh, actually, having that free Scarecrow is such a nice little thing to have.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where generally anything we can do to make the seed faster in Triforce Blitz is something that we strongly consider. If you ever need a setup for a pickle shot, there's a video on YouTube by somebody who put that together, so you can make that not an issue if you want to learn that. But
was that you by any chance?
I might have been made by me. Yeah, I have my own setup for pixel shot that is relatively easy to learn.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Getting those hints out. Then we've got the repeat of the 20 skulls hint as well. We're seeing Egodev go through Kokiri Forest, so we've seen these checks already on Natheirean side. Ocarina is Bolero. Interesting.
Yeah, so that pretty much kills the whole Shadow Temple and Jabu for the OoT song. It's pretty likely that that wasn't a possibility anyway, just because generally when you have Path Shadow Temple and Path Jabu locking something that you need, the hints tend to scream very loudly that that's where you need to go. With all the required items, and we haven't really seen that so far. Instead, kind of seems like Crater is we're looking like Requiem on Crater maybe, and then maybe even like ZL in Colossus something. Actually, probably not ZL in Colossus, but
no, because obviously Zelda's Lullaby cannot be hinted.
Yeah, but it could be like a forest access for ZL or something like that.
Yes, that's
I'm missing is what I'm saying.
Yeah, with Bolero, we've got a hook shot, so we've got a way to cross the bridge, and with the heart piece at the top of the volcano in Logic in Triforce Blitz with the hover boots, which we have, any chance of Bolero being logically required is dead in the water.
It looks like Natheirean is going to do probably GV into Lake at this point. So both of our runners doing a pretty thorough child routes. Egodev not doing GV, if I recall. So if GV ends up having something, it's going to actually be pretty bad for Egodev, because I don't think he's going to have a convenient way to route that in for a while. And also, Egodev, I think, didn't have enough money to get the merchant scrub. Sometimes you can just do that after going through SFM, especially if you just take the chance on like Saria's song being vanilla, and then you can route in Skulk at the same time. So I'm hoping that he doesn't orphan that check and instead just goes back after the song.
Okay, we're going to see whether Natheirean's going to join the list of top 10 anime betrayals at the hands of this Kuko, which is my least favourite enemy in the entire game. No, he's fine.
Yep, well done. It's a good thing to practice.
I cannot get that chicken to play nice.
And rolling into the chest, if you do it right, it's pretty hard to mess up picking up the chicken again before it runs off to its doom.
Challenge accepted.
I mean, we've all been there, right? That's why we learn to roll into the chest, is because we've been trolled so many times.
And you called it. There's a third graveyard path of courage hint.
Yeah, it's probability.
Someone put it earlier in chat. Oh, it's purple. Getting a repeated path in the first 3 path hints is about 1% if there aren't any doubles, which is good maths. I respect that, and yeah, we've seen it already that double path, and we've got 2 path items in Ruto's letter and those hover boots.
Probability is an underrated skill in Rando. Not really utilized much, even at the top levels, but with the amount of information available in Blitz, you can definitely kind of draw some assumptions based on that. But for Natheirean in this seed, nothing in Valley, going to be doing the back of lake hints as well, so I think Natheirean will have the double graveyard path confirmed and be the first one. And it doesn't look like Egodev going to head back to that merchant scrub and pick up the hook shot, so that's good. Not getting in trouble early on in this game.
Yeah, I think just information is so important in Triforce Blitz, that especially because you can pick up that hint stone. In this case, it's a double. We've seen the other Gerudo Fortress Foolish hint, which, by the way, love seeing. Any excuse to not have to do horseback archery is good. But yeah, if you can find a way, actually, this might help me. Might help me a little bit in terms of getting more information. It's not so bad.
I wonder where Egodev is headed now. Maybe this as well. Yeah, so explosives conspicuously absent so far, and with Song of Storms available early, Bottom of the Well is a solid play here. There's a good chance that he'll be able to get a number of these ZL lock checks out of Logic. He's going to be able to do Dompe, and even if for some reason Bottom of the Well ends up having absolutely nothing, there's still the possibility of getting some bomb shoes out of Logic and opening up the seed that way. So a good routing choice in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Ego's changing the time of day with a Sun Song that they picked up in Sacred Forest Meadow as well, because this will give the opportunity to get in Dampe Digging and the Sun Song's Grave, of course, with that song. And with that graveyard path and potentially double path, Egodev hasn't seen 3 of those hints yet, but it does add the idea of, always full clear your paths, always full clear your way of the heroes, however you kind of want to phrase it. Dampe Digging is a check that you see left behind quite a while, and Egodev kind of taking, clearly not wanting to leave that behind, even if it turns out to be nothing, which it does.
Yeah, pretty likely that it's Rudos and the hovers, and I mean, what are the odds that Shadow Temple could show up, right? Like the classic Ice for Nocturne with Shadow Temple having 2 pieces for the 11, like seen it a million times. So you kind of start anticipating stuff like that. But seeing the Reded Grave here, so I like this, just making sure that there's no way that something could sneak in there, like a bombs or hammer or Kokiri sword, something like that.
Right, it's always tricky trying to balance being thorough and making sure that you don't leave anything behind, with in addition to always making sure that you're kind of playing with the right degree of urgency. If we look at the main bracket, and for those of you who haven't had a chance to watch the main bracket finals, spoiler alert, one of the reasons that Ramond was so successful in their run to the finals was partly because they were able to, as Poe in a bottle, was generally because they picked their right moments, when to go and when to stop, even though I didn't pay off for them in the end. And actually, what we did see there was Burning Kakariko is Saria's, and that is behind Forest, so Minuet is our only logical Forest access. We just don't know where it is yet.
Yeah, that's really nice information to have, because now we know that there's a bottleneck for that, so it increases the possibility of bait, or basically skippable path songs, because if there's some like weird sequence of like crossing to get forest access to get ZL or something like that, we might be able to bypass a lot of that and speed up things dramatically. And also, if for some reason forest access does not end up being path, then we know we don't need to actually do anything there. And Forest Temple is slow unless we know something is there. So that's just good information for the runners.
Feels like Egodev is having a little bit of trouble with some of those peaks today, but that is 2 big chests just completely free in the bottom of the well. And oof.
Let's give him an F in chat.
Silver G sad if you have it.
Not a big deal though. Free health refill. 20 seconds gone. You just dust yourself off and move on and go for those big chests. And seems like Natheirean has the same idea. A little bit behind just because he routed in the valley, but the runners taking very similar routes to the seed so far, and I'm sure Natheirean will end up in bottom of the well as soon as he's done with the graveyard. And look at that, some bomb chews.
No bait of the well today. Oh, and they might pay off immediately. So bomb shoes appear in big chests, which is one of the many excellent quality of life changes that you get in Triforce Blitz, but they are not. They don't put stuff in more chews. They don't put stuff in logic, so you can get bomb chews in foolish locations.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden we've gone from no explosives to 20 bomb chews. So for I think most runners, that's pretty much all you need for an entire seed if you use them appropriately. So that's potentially a big way to break this seed open. I mean, conspicuous lack of ZL, conspicuous lack of logical bombs. So there's definitely a possibility of having some skippable items locking down a lot of these early path locations.
I think this is the first major divergence that we're seeing. Obviously, Natheirean rooted in Valley didn't see anything there except the third graveyard hint, and also picked up the bottle in the open grotto and got the burning Kakariko hint. But this is the first time we're seeing a big divergence in areas that's being skipped, with Egodev trying to clear out the bottom of the well here, and Nath just deciding that, no, I'm going to go back adult again. I imagine maybe going into forest, perhaps? He's got a hook shot. I'm not sure where else he could be going.
Yeah, I think this is river to and then through the shortcut. So what I was talking about earlier with the iron boots to go through the shortcut and end up in forest, I think that's where we're headed here. And yeah, that does seem to be the case. So it's a good play to get info, and also maybe Natheirean picking up that hint about the location of Sardia's song, thinking that maybe Requiem's hanging out in Minuet, or maybe even ZL, something like that. That's gonna make further routing in the city a lot more convenient if you go there.
Ego's just trying to clear out as much of the world as they can. They've already found, as we mentioned, 20 chews and half an hour of time save.
So Egodev has not found any keys in the well, remarkably. If this is not okay, that's a key. So that means that 2 keys are ZL locked, which is actually nice, because that means he likely won't have to come back later. And Natheirean picking up a scale, so that's going to save time if he ever needs to go turn in that letter.
Yeah, the thing about doing River as adult is that you don't need explosives, but it also means that you are leaving frogs in the rain. And it's 1 check. What damage could it do? Well,
that's, yeah.
a lot. Now that's a hint that I like.
Yeah, I love to see the Fire Temple Foolish. It's just a dungeon that can suck up a ton of time if you have to go there. And for every bad dungeon that gets knocked out Foolish, like that one also, it just increases the chance that we're going to actually see Triforce pieces in large quantities, and we all like to see that.
Yeah, it really sucks trawling through a dungeon that wasn't hinted foolish, and then finding out that there's actually nothing there just because you haven't seen a foolish hint, and more bomb chews.
Well, no good deed goes unpunished, as we often say for Egodev, as there are more bomb chews just chilling in the river, and that's the perfect time for Natheirean, because now that is going to open up easy access to Goron City. Okay, I take it all back.
I think maybe checking the hint here, or
I think this
maybe
might be ice. He got the bottle. He got the bottle in South Hyrule, so he can do ice.
Yeah, I think he's just going to drink that Po and head on into Ice Cavern.
Okay, well, I don't hate it. I think Natheirean is like, not today, all right? Yesterday, they put 2 strength upgrades in ice. It's not happening today. I'm going to ice right away. I'm not going to lose to this crap. And, hey, I mean, why not, right? Like, we know ZL seems to be buried somewhere, and there's a good chance that Rudo's letter is path for something, so this seems... As far as risks go, this seems like pretty low risk, high reward, if you ask me, given what we know about the seed.
The phrase that comes to mind for me here is "once bitten, twice shy." Like, that's got me once. I'm not falling for this again. I'm here. I've got the tools I need to get in. I'm admittedly struggling a little bit with Mweep Skip, but he knows that all he's missing to get in here, logically now, is Zelda's Lullaby. Doesn't know where that could be, but hey, we've had a couple of song locations hinted path, so why not just go for it? Although, of course, Zelda's Lullaby can't be hinted, so scratch that theory. But you know what I mean. Yeah,
and I think that sometimes, if you're playing rando, you can get a little bit in your head about recency bias, and like, oh, I got screwed by this one thing, so I'm going to do things differently the next seed, but actually it's just random. But yeah. I think in this seed, going here makes a whole lot of sense. He's got the iron boots, so he's able to do under the ice. There's a lot of hints here, and we've got a high chance of Rudo's path. So there's it's like a really high value area in the context of this seed, and so I like it, even though, even in addition to it screwed him last time.
Yeah, and as we've seen, that's now the second inside Ganon's castle path hint we've seen. 1 to wisdom and 1 to courage. So finding a way to complete one of those dungeons, I think, is a pretty good thing. I didn't realise as well that it was 20 chews that Nath picked up here. So that, as you mentioned, will probably be his explosive sorted for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and that's pretty nice, because I think Natheirean tried to avoid going into bottom of the well, because he was right there, and he could have. But now that you've skipped it, you kind of don't want to go back there, and we know that all that's there waiting for him is more chews, so he's free to kind of not go there for a while unless he gets some sort of information.
I mean, more chews and big organs find its one. But yeah, what do we say about Frogs 1? 1 check. What could it cost? 1 bow?
Potentially a big item. Bow, not always. Path, decent chance that there could be multiple bows floating out there, but that's potentially a big item. Definitely makes the possibility of GTG much more attractive, even though right now we don't have a way to get there. But when we get some more songs, that's nice, and also potentially a forest play, a little better than it would be otherwise. So it all now depends on where those other bows are.
And of course, because Nath has got a hook shot, there's lots of easy skulls in Ice Cavern that he can choose not to pick up.
Yes, wise.
Laughing in the face of the seed hash.
It's going to be interesting to see what song shows up here. I mean, there's a lot of good options for songs, like Minuet would be really useful, Requiem would be really useful, Nocturne would be pretty interesting, I think.
I mean, honestly, I don't think there's a song here that you wouldn't be happy to see. Maybe.
Yeah, we got a big chest coming up here.
Time.
Eponas would be good too, because we don't have a way to GTG at the moment.
No, that would absolutely get us in. Although,
Oh, don't die! Don't die! Don't die! Don't die!
although for Natheirean, the issue is that he doesn't have a bow, and that does limit what he can do in GTG a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Frora's Wind is a nice quality of life item to have.
Especially this early. Obviously, he needs magic to show up somewhere. But
oh yes,
it can make the GTG play nicer. Could make crossing, especially if like Epona shows up here. Maybe it's worth thinking about crossing at some point to try and pick up whatever the song is on Requiem, because it could be vanilla for all we know.
Yeah, it could well be, which would pretty much suggest that you've got to dive into Child Spirit. We do not have any child projectiles yet, but with the bomb tubes we can get around needing them. That is a heart container. Is that a big chest again?
It looked like it, but I couldn't tell for sure. Sometimes that chest is a little bit... Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
That's 100% a biggie. At the moment, they need a song to logically get into Sacred Forest Meadow. Although, actually, both of these runners can comfortably Mido skip. So, with a hookshot and with the... That's a mirror shield. With the hookshot and with the shortcut in Forest activated, yeah, there's nothing really stopping one of these runners just diving into Forest, quick killing Phantom Ganon, and then trying to check out what they can find inside Ganon's castle.
Yeah, that's probably next, I imagine, because after Ice, well, depending on what the song is, I'm sure the routing will depend on how that turns out. But 4 is probably at the top of the list, not only for opening up Ganon's, but just to get the song. Natheirean doing some classic block push strats. I don't hate this, honestly, especially if you're not super comfortable with the glitchless jumps. I've watched even experienced runners just totally fail this room in terrible fashion, being stubborn, trying to do the cool, snazzy, glitchless jumps. But if you just commit to pushing the block at the beginning, like, you're losing maybe 30 seconds max.
Yeah, I'd rather take the 30 seconds rather than spending, a couple of minutes, because you're trying jumps that you're not comfortable in and you're putting yourself under pressure and not nailing them. Like, there's no shame in pushing the block. You've got hover boots, which makes things a little bit nicer as well. You don't have bombs to do the standard ground jump, so you would have to do those glitchless setups.
Yeah, and so much about playing kind of important races is just staying inside your comfort zone. Because if you screw up a trick and then you realize that everybody is watching you screw up a trick, it can kind of get into your head, and then you screw up more tricks. And then it gets into your head more, and you continue to screw up tricks, and things get out of control. So just kind of staying within your comfort zone, keeping it clean, that's usually a route to bring out the best performance you can do. So we got our CAC Wanderer, so that may be our only Wanderer hint this seed. Especially if there's any sort of divergence between the Wisdom and the Power and Courage paths, then we're likely not to see any other Wanderers. And even then, we're assuming that Power and Courage are in the same place, which is likely but not always the case. Anyway, that is Epona showing up in Ice. I'm going to hold down the Fort Solo for a minute as Benjy takes care of some internet scruffles. But Epona's interesting. Could get us to Spirit Temple if we wanted to go there. I don't really know that we necessarily want to. Let's see where Natheirean goes next. Could certainly head over to Forest Temple. Could head to maybe Dodongo's to open up Ganon's that way. Could even go crazy and just go GTG with the plans for crossing. So, what's up, Natheirean? What is the plan?
Honestly, I don't hate crossing here, given that we know Desert Colossus's path, and there's could well be a good song out there. You just run the risk of it's a song that you only logically need and don't actually need. Ego's trying to clear out his Kakariko Wanderer.
So I'll tell you why I don't like it. I don't like it because we don't have Ice Cavern Path, and we have DMC Path, and we have the Minuet song that's available if they want it. And the odds of Requiem showing up in one of those checks is actually pretty high. And if you cross with Requiem just available somewhere else, it feels really bad. And so I think Natheirean's making a smart play here and heading towards CAC. We'll see where he goes from here, but obviously Dodongo's high on the list. Some more cleanup that can be done. And then Goron City is definitely, I think, the highest priority area because that's going to lead to a very high value DMC as well as potentially Forest.
Yeah, Natheirean can't pick up the adult shooting check because they didn't get the bow on Frogs 1, the cost of doing River as adult. And it's picked up a lens.
A potentially Wanderer lens.
Yeah, so could just be you can cross, that's a way you can cross the desert, or you can just find Requiem out there somewhere.
So I think we found
TCG.
irons in CAC as well. Not sure if there's anything else. I forget what the song was in CAC.
Song was Prelude, so nothing.
Oh, not that.
So it's Iron Boots, the lens, or it's on 10 skulls.
That's mildly terrifying.
Yeah, especially because they're not prioritizing skulls at all. Egodev, I feel like, has struggled with these peaks today, and I fully sympathise.
So this is the last major area with unclaimed hints. We've got a lot of hints in this area. Got the Storm's Grotto here. Got a handful in Goron City. Potentially 3 in the DMC and Climb area. And oh dear, that's Domain on the path.
That is slightly concerning. There's 3 checks in Domain. There's the Unfreezing King's Aura, there's the Diving minigame, and you've also got the Torch Run. Egodev was in Domain as child and neglected to do the checks there. Natheirean didn't unfreeze King's Aura. Right?
Yeah, so it's not terrible compared to usual, because we do have Serenade and we do have a Scale, so we can get back there pretty easily. And additionally, we know we're going to get to Ganon's at some point this seed, and so we can get more Blue Fire there if you're Natheirean. So if he just routes the sequence properly, it shouldn't be too painful, even if it ends up being on King's Aura. But that information is definitely pretty useful. And we also had a Lost Woods path, which likely for the hookshot, although I think we have not checked all of the checks in Lost Woods yet.
We haven't seen Saria's song, or the Target in the Woods, or the Grottos, actually. There's a lot in Lost Woods we haven't seen.
Well, I don't think it's going to be Skull Kid. I'll be free spoilers with where Saria's song is at this point.
Yeah, it would be surprising, certainly, but I have in a Triforce Blitz seed had Path Sarias, not for forest access, but for Iron Boots on Skull Kid and Hover Boots on Darunia, which I thought was hilarious. There's your Requiem.
Yep, so shout out to me, 15 minutes into the seed, calling that one. But yeah, it was always likely to be there. You got to imagine, I think I had suggested earlier that it could be like a Requiem for Minuet for ZL kind of deal, and the layout definitely seems to be pointing in that direction, at least from what I can see.
The one thing that I'm thinking is that we've seen the Crater as Path to Power and Colossus Path to Wisdom, 9, 11, 11. We might have a lot of overlap in these paths. Yeah,
usually there has to be at least a decent amount. when you start to get into the 10 plus area, there's only so many items in the game.
DMC to courage as well. Strength, anyone?
Interesting.
So it feels like one of those hints is going to be for the strength, and one of them's going to be for Requiem. Which is which? No idea.
Yeah, that's always a little bit of a scary thing to find. Nice DMT pool.
Good place for that.
Yeah, now that he's done the whole thing.
Nath didn't check the top DMC hint, right? The wall.
Yeah, I don't think he did. It might have felt like he had enough information. That might have been his 10th path.
That is the 10th. Oh, he hasn't seen Lost Woods, actually. I don't think, because he didn't check the maze. So he's at 9 paths, but maybe he's just thinking, good chance I won't see it. Song of Time path, GTG intensifies.
That's confusing for a number of reasons, because where's forest access? Like, we have no ZL and no forest access, so that likely means that Fire Temple is a thing to unlock, to get us to ZL somehow. And, yeah, what's the deal with that? There's nothing on the arch as far as I could tell, so we either need Song of Time or we need to get ZL somehow.
Egodev has now found that his third graveyard to courage hint, so he knows that Rotos and Hover Boots looking suspiciously like path. Natheirean's going to reverse here to GTG. With the Song of Time, I get it. It could be they just need the Song of Time for GTG key logic, which I won't pretend to understand and will refuse to try and learn. Or it could be for a required item in the toilet, although I would admit, with Iron Boots required, Iron Boots only turning up in a Wanderer location, I should say, feels unlikely, but who knows? I guess there's a chance that Iron Boots could be a Wanderer item for another strength, maybe? I'm not sure. Or something.
It's a very strange situation because I feel like we're still missing a ton of information. It does feel like actually Domain is likely the item that is earliest in the chain, because as far as I know, we don't have any logically completable dungeons, which is very bizarre with all the items that we actually found. But we don't have forest access to do forest. We don't have bombs to do Dodongos. No Kokiri sword or anything else like that. No boomerang for Jabu or anything. So it seems like the logic is kind of very linear, and Egodev picking up some magic there. So that's a nice pickup. And that is in the woods as well, so that could potentially be a path magic.
It could well be. We've also seen a hook shot there, but who knows?
So I think both of the plays by Natheirean and Egodev are pretty good. Getting to GTG is like really out of logic, and GTG is definitely a potential like Triforce piece location, especially if the seed is expecting us to go to ice to get Eponas. Or something along those lines. So, like, this might be able to skip a lot of required checks. I think Egodev will end up in Forest Temple and just clearing out Phantom Ganon to open up the double path Ganon's Castle, which is also a good play. So, seeing two, I think, equally good routes, and I think they'll probably both have to retrace the other steps later on, but it's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I don't hate either play here. Ooh, a Biggie in Sacred Forest Meadow in the Wolfos Grotto. And there's a bomb bag that we logically don't have access to yet.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's a decent chance that that's a bomb-locked bomb bag, because if the seed is expecting you to get Hammer to unlock that, then you would also need Minuet. And Minuet appears to be pretty buried, so kind of unlikely that the bomb chain is taking us that far, although not impossible.
We know this check from Egodev can't be Minuet, but it can be pretty much anything else that we haven't had hinted.
Kind of feel like it might be ZL.
And it's got the stench of ZL about it. Sorry, ZL about it.
Just kidding.
Ooh, it's Nocturne. Which... never enjoy seeing Nocturne.
I am starting to feel like there is a substantial amount of divergence between these three paths. I think that courage and power might not be in the same place at all.
Well, there's a piece. Which piece it is? Who fucking knows?
Well, we do have Colossus for wisdom. So if I had to guess, I would probably say that that's the wisdom piece.
That would be my... and there's one just straight up there in Forest.
And
So-
now, witness Egodev's brain collapsing in real time.
So the question is, where is Minuet lurking?
Well, clearly it's 11 deep.
The only place that can be is Zelda's Lullaby Lock. I think that has to be on the Sun Song check. Or it's either on Sun Song or on the Vanilla Prelude check, which is locked behind completion of Foolish Fire.
Yeah, so I do think ZL is on Prelude, and then Minuet's going to be locked behind it. But it seems like
I think
there's
it has to be.
a pretty trolly chain to even get there. Now there's a possibility that Hovers potentially could be pathed just for Fire Temple. So everything's kind of gone out the window, and you could see... I mean, we can't see what Egodev's face is like, but you could see when he opened that check and there was a Triforce piece there that just, like... he was not expecting that, and he had to reevaluate his life choices. And so now what do you do? Like, you know that Forest is potentially an 11. Do you just commit all the way to do the rest of Forest and hope that the other piece shows up here? Like, it's not necessarily a bad idea.
I kind of think I would, to be honest. I could certainly see the logic in it. Like, we've had a strength in a path location as well.
Yeah, you
So
certainly
that could be
can.
the only available strength. The others could just be strength lock, that's fine. He's got a bow, so we can full clear it here.
The thing is, though, from Egodev's perspective, he doesn't actually have a clue which Triforce piece that is. Like, maybe he could take probability and think, like, oh, it's probably power or courage, but for all he knows, it could be wisdom, because he hasn't actually gone to the Colossus yet, so he doesn't know that that Song of Time is path. Maybe he's thinking that it could be Minuet in Colossus or something like that. So it's more risky for him than it is for us to be making the decision to continue on here.
Yeah, I think the only dungeon that we can... Well, I mean, we still logically can't complete any dungeons at the moment. It feels like the biggest likelihood is that there is just a bomb bag sitting out there somewhere to complete Dodongo's Cavern, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's either that or it's Hammer and Domain. I think whatever is in Domain is the thing that's logically holding us up. But it's going to be something silly where it's going to be like either Bomb Bag or Hammer, and then there's potentially like Hammer and Ganons or something like that to lead us to Fire, to get us our ZL to ultimately end up with Forest access. There's a lot of silliness that's left to happen here.
Yeah. Yeah, Fire, Hammer in Zora's Domain. I see the logic in that as well. What that would make us find inside Ganon's castle, I'm not sure. Bomb bag maybe the first bow was absolutely not bow locked, so that's fine. Who knows?
So it looks like Natheirean's going to be chasing after Egodev here into Forest. And from his perspective, I really like the play. Because for all that Natheirean knows, he could be running to find ZL on Minuet here. So going here makes a lot of sense. And also no Ganons. So thinking, oh, I'll go beat Forest and get this song and open up Ganons. And what he doesn't know is that he's about to faceplant directly into a Triforce piece, and he'll have to reevaluate his life choices as well.
I mean, there are worse places to faceplant into, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he'd probably be pretty happy with it, but I'm curious to see if he'll have the old 2 to 3 second pause, shield flick, crouch stab reaction that I'd probably have.
Can't shield flick if you don't buy a shield. Jax, the mirror shield is in. Yeah, it was indeed. It was on the big chest in the on the right hand side in the first blue fire locked room specifically. But yeah, Ice Cavern.
Oh, and Egodev struck down by Phantom Ganon, but fortunately, he came prepared with a fairy.
Fairy.
Egodev baiting chat. It was super effective.
And using the using Big Stabby there to take down Phantom Ganon. So the question is the other, we think 11 piece isn't in Forest. Where is it?
Yeah, well, we got to look at our paths, I think, and try to figure out like which path has the stuff with no info, and so like I'm looking at Ganon's. I think that there's got to be a shared path at least to get us somewhere. Because Ganon's is locking Wisdom. So we know, we're pretty confident we know where Wisdom is. And so either, I guess like either it could be like a long shot potentially there. Like Epona seems like it's maybe not the logical way to get to GTG perhaps.
No, it's a good thought actually, because we haven't had Ice Cavern hinted path, but we did have Ruto's letter hinted path. And we know Jabu's not foolish because it would have been hinted. Foolish hints prioritize dungeons as well, right?
Yes, they do.
So maybe rather than Minuet or whatever, it could be there's a boomerang lurking in Ganon's castle. And it's in Jabu.
Yeah, potentially. Although, do we have overworld paths on every single route? We do. So and we have 10. So actually, Jabu cannot have a path item anymore.
Yeah, if there's something in Jabu, it's a major item that's not a path item. It could be a wanderer item, or there could just be a piece in there. I will caveat with this, with the fact that I absolutely have not and refuse to do the maths.
So Natheirean picking up the second Triforce piece there, and that's an important one to get. Getting that tiebreak with 2 pieces puts a lot of pressure on the opponent, because now the only way that Egodev can win this race is finding the last 2 pieces before Natheirean gets his last one, or before the end of the seed. So if the time runs out and all things stay like this, Natheirean is going to be forcing a game 3, which I know we would all be excited to see, including myself.
Yeah, 100%.
So, there's a permanent bias in the commentary booth for whoever needs to win to force a game 3. It's nothing personal.
I'll be honest, I don't think that's limited to the commentary booth. Like this is not limited to Triforce Blitz, any other rando Zelda or otherwise. Like whatever the sport occasion is, people always root for the underdog, and they always root for just more right? It's what, like, you want more.
Yeah, more is better. And here's the thing, though. So Natheirean has the information because Natheirean knows that he's got the 9, he's got one of the 11s, and he probably really wants to do the rest of Forest, right? Because potentially the other piece is just chilling in Forest, like he's done. Like he doesn't need to figure out this mess. Like he's just free and clear. But he has no bow, so he's not going to actually be able to get any further. So that's an issue, and he's probably going to end up clearing the rest of Forest and do Phantom Ganon and end up in Ganon's castle, chasing down those paths. Egodev has all the things that he needs to do the rest of Forest and has actually gone for the commitment, cleared Phantom Ganon, ran all the way through Lost Woods again, and is back in Forest with the intent to clear the rest of it. So, I mean, I like it. It's a little bit surprising, I think. I might have tried to route it a little bit differently to avoid having to run all the way back through Lost Woods, but I think it's a really good play regardless because he's well aware that there could easily be a second Triforce piece here, and now is the time to commit to where the Triforce pieces are.
Yeah, I think he's probably done the maths that, okay, Prelude, Zelda's Lullaby is on the Prelude check. I have to get a Fire Temple to do, which I don't have a hammer yet. Good chance that it's in Ganon's castle or in Zora's domain. Can't be ordered to go there. You know, Forest is relatively closer. I'll just get it out of the way. At least that way I'll know whether it's here or not.
Yeah,
the way,
there's never a better time to do it than when you're right in the area. So, like, why not just be efficient?
This is usually the bit where we tell everyone, oh, here's who's running today, but I cannot find the channel point thing. Here we go. Thank you to our commentators and trackers. We'll start with the runners, who are Natheirean and Egodev, playing out Game 2 here of the Triforce Blitz tournament. Nath's setting Aurora's Wind, which is something he picked up in Ice Cavern, so Egodev doesn't have that benefit. Yeah, both well worth a follow. They put on some wonderful play for us, not just today and last night, but all throughout the tournament as well. Thanks to Elagatua, who is the Triforce Blitz genius / devil, and filling us in wonderfully on commentary. To our wonderful trackers, we have Purple, maybe Baseball. I haven't worked out whether they're baseball or not at this point. And Ginger Sunny. Ginger is also doubling up as our race mod for today. Thank you, Ginger. And on the restreaming today, we have Tobias. So thanks, everyone, for continuing to allow the Silver Gauntlets to play host to this most wonderful of tournaments.
Yes, you're welcome, and or I'm sorry, as appropriate for this. And speaking of being sorry, Egodev picking up a boomerang. So, well, I think Jabu is no longer a thing, but it kind of makes me wonder if maybe Longshot and Epona both ZL locked, so neither path but ice required. And what is it with Phantom Ganon? Like, did he get patched?
Dude just has 0 chill today. I say, dude. Do ghosts have genders? Does this ghost specifically? I don't know.
Yeah, it's above my pay grade. All I know is that he's been killing folks like crazy, and it's not very nice.
I wonder whether Nath goes straight back in there, or whether he goes to try and pick up a fairy. No, he's just going back in.
Yeah, I mean, you got 3 hearts. It should be fine. You don't need to overreact. Just take your lumps and laugh it off. And he knows he needs to try and probably find his way to Ganon's castle. And this is the right way to do it. So just got to tough it out.
There's another prediction up in chat. Will a runner collect all 3 Triforce pieces? If you vote no, then you are committing to Game 3. If you vote yes, then we could still have Game 3, but it's not set in stone. Egodev continuing to clear forest here. I'm just still trying to piece together what could be where. We know there's something in spirit, but we've still only seen the one strength.
Yeah.
But with Requiem in the path location, we might only see one strength, and there might be something in child rather than adult spirit.
I think there's some silly divergence going on in this seed, as far as the paths go.
Honestly, I'm with you.
My light trial Spidey sense is going off like crazy. That's where I'm at right now. It's just that strength 1 path in DMC, and the fact that Requiem is path, but we have lens already, and it seems like we have most of the ingredients to potentially cross. I don't know. It's whenever I see a path strength 1, I get really suspicious.
We still don't have logical access into Ganon's castle, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the domain item that's locking us out of there. I just don't think that either of the runners want to go back there, because I imagine that they're both thinking that it's a bomb bag, and they don't need another one.
Yeah, it's a domain. It's a domain. It's a bomb bag. It's a hammer, or even, God forbid, a long shot.
Yeah, maybe. Although I think that long shot probably has to be ZL locked.
I mean, I'll be honest. I think it's a bit of a long shot.
There you go.
I accept my punishment, whatever it may be.
I'm a fan. What can I say? I almost goaded the commentator to making that joke yesterday, and I'm glad to know that I was successful today.
Look, if you didn't expect puns and wordplay from your Silver Gauntlet commentators, then I don't know what to tell you at this point, I'm afraid.
Well, regardless of whether I'll be solo commentating the rest of this seed, we've got Natheirean in Ganon's castle now. Time to see if these double path items are available, or whether we're going to have a confirmed light trial sooner rather than later.
So we've got hook shot, so we can do Spirit Trial 1 with Choose. We can do Spirit Trial 2 as well. We can't do Shadow Trial 2 yet.
Yeah, not yet. We need either long shot or some way to set things on fire.
We can do Shadow Trial 1 with the hover boots, but it's finicky. But it's logically there.
It is pretty scary that we've done almost all the checks and Ganons that we can get to, and 0 big chests so far, and we know it's double. I mean, it could just be double Spirit Trial, but
the only thing Ego found in the rest of Forest is a boomerang.
Yeah, seems pretty likely that there's going to be some serious divergence, and we could be in the classic scenario of double 11s in totally different places. I kind of get that feeling.
There is a biggie. And you know what to do. Post them in chat.
So I'm just pointing out that is our second path strength, so certainly could just be for Spirit Temple, but I mean, I had that feeling.
You've played a lot more Blitz than I have, and I'm not going to bet against you.
Sometimes when you know, you just know. It's not even like it's very hard to disentangle the threads of the seed with all the missing path items that we have and the song silliness, but I don't know. Certainly a lot of chances for maybe Strength 3 to just be ZL locked, forcing those 2 strengths to be path, but Well, let's see. No big chest there, so looks like we're missing one path item in Ganon's. Doesn't have to be behind Light Trial, but there's not a whole lot of other places it could be.
Yeah, I wonder what Natheirean's thinking here. Clear out as much forest as he can, and then dip into spirit, I guess, now with 2 strengths?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. And going back to what I said earlier, Natheirean knows that potentially he doesn't need to care about the logic at all from his perspective, especially if the second Triforce piece is in forest. And we know it's not, but he doesn't. So going back to just clear out as much as he can in forest, because he can get all the way up to the bow chest potentially without having a bow. And with Furores, it's kind of free. So might as well just take your chance at winning the seed right here. And if you have to go to Spirit Temple rather after all that's done, then it's not like it's any worse necessarily.
Yeah, Chuckles. We think that we found the wisdom piece in GTG, and we found a piece here. My theory now is that that's courage that we found in here in Forest Temple, and that maybe we'll find strength 3 in spirit for the 3rd power item, and the other item we'll find in Ganon's castle could be hammer to get Zelda's Lullaby to get Minuet? Hang on, I'm not sure how that maths works there. Who knows?
Figure that out.
I don't think Strength 2 is on the Wisdom path. I think that's on the Courage path, because we've had Ganon's Castle hinted for Courage and Wisdom. That's my working theory.
So Egodev picking up Strength 2 now, and once he finishes this last check in Ganon's, you gotta imagine that he's going to end up in Spirit Temple, and picking up that Song of Time might lead him down to GTG, and that's going to be very interesting, because if Egodev ends up in GTG, he is going to have all the checks available to him there with the with Strength 2 and with the bow. So if for some reason there are Triforce pieces like behind silver blocks or something ridiculous like that, there's going to be more information made available to us, or potentially just more time wasted.
Yeah. The keys we're missing here are what the item in domain is. Is it a bomb bag or is it a hammer? And what's lurking in spirit? That is kind of the big thing for us now. Neither runner checked out Shadow Trial 1.
Oh, they peeked it. They both looked at it. I think it was a key.
Okay, so it's Shadow Trial 2, basically.
Or Light Trial.
Yes, although I don't know how that mucks up our path counts.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like an item in Light Trial leading to the piece. I don't even know how that would work, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, I guess.
Gotta feel like Shadow is too deep this seed, with a piece in Forest Temple, and then Nocturne also being there. Feels like one too many to me, so we're kind of running out of places where it could be, to be honest. I mean, it can't be fire, can't be water, can't be shadow, can't be Jabu, because Jabu's too deep as well. What else is left? I mean, we've got DC, Light Trial, the rest of GTG, Spirit. Am I missing anything?
No, we know it can't be Deku because Deku was foolish as well. Yeah, Spirit. Then we got the rest of GTG. Inside Ganon's Castle, basically Light Trial and Shadow 2.
All right, this is going to be a really short check by
Yeah.
Egodev.
Did he get all the way into the fountain and then realise that he didn't have Zelda's Lullaby?
He played the whole song. We've all been there.
We've all been there. Natheirean's not hard child locked at the moment.
So yeah, Egodev going to chase the Song of Time straight to GTG. Makes a lot of sense in the situation, knowing that that's path, and probably not the item he expected to show up there. To be honest, might have imagined that it was like ZL or something in that fairy fountain, but or Minuet, even more likely, but not the case. So on his way to pick up that second piece, but Natheirean, hot on the trail of this spirit path, has got most of these checks available on the adult side for him, and we'll see if there is that third strength or if it is the hammer, as some people have been theorizing in chat.
We don't have a fire source yet, so we cannot check that the firelock check there.
Yeah, I think if it comes to it, that Natheirean will end up just coming back as child.
Yeah.
But big chest here.
Oh look, it's the even bluer gauntlets. Because Natheirean just does blue, apparently. Everything, like all of Nath's cosmetics are blue, all of them. So what do you get after you get blue gauntlets? Even bluer gauntlets. And he's going to follow those straight into Light Trial, which, you know what? I would as well, and not just because you told me that I should.
Though that is a good reason.
Generally, yes.
So yeah, it's interesting though because Ganon's double path, and if we're following things correctly, this could just be an item unlocking something else. So not necessary for us to find a Triforce piece here. It could just be the other path item, and I think there's a decent chance of it actually. It could easily be like maybe even like a long shot or something like that. Hard to imagine what else it could be.
Oh, we forgot to do the synchronized yeet that rock.
Yeet.
That rock. You were saying?
Yeah, I say a lot of things.
Put the spoiler log away, etc. I mean, hey, you had a 50-50 chance of being right. Either there was long shot there or there wasn't.
Sometimes I sound really smart in the commentator's booth, and then there are other times. But there's a big chest here, so what's this? Oh, it's both. Well, great.
So, either that's not logical access to GTG because there's nothing that puts Ice Cavern out of logic. It also pretty much confirms that your bomb bag's in Zora's domain.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's got to be, I think. And that, I mean, geez, like that's just a lot of items. Like you've got the two strength paths and Requiem path, and then the third path in Spirit, leading to more paths in Light Trial. Like, where the heck is this Triforce piece?
Also, haven't worked out why Iron Boots were Wanderer. Or Iron Boots in a Wanderer location, at least.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. We don't have access to Zelda's Lullaby yet. Yeah. Okay. So, long shot is the first logical way of getting to GTG.
So the mathematicians in chat, I think, have figured out the wisdom path. And from what I can tell, their calculations have killed the possibility of the third Triforce piece being in GTG because it's not deep enough? Question mark. I don't know. Help me, chat.
I thought it was the opposite, where maybe they've just worked out that it definitely is in GTG, but who knows? I think the theory in here is just going to check the well. Oh, actually, here's a thought. We still don't have a logical way to get into domain, right? Oh no, we can get the scale as an adult Zora's River. Ignore me.
Yeah, with the hovers, actually, it could be hover's path to use that to get the scale.
Which is funky, but not unheard of. And I think Natheirean's now trying to work out what the fuck is that Wanderer hint. So, we're gonna see some chickens.
Yeah, so I think purple is on to something. The ZL lock checks in bottom of the well are potential 11s. And we've kind of figured out that ZL has to be 10. There's multiple routes to GTG that put us at 8, and then plus 1 for Song of Time to be 9. So it's a weird situation because there's kind of so few places that could have Triforce pieces, given the number of barren dungeons we've had, and a number of dungeons being clearly too deep, like Jabu, for example, and Shadow. So you can kind of process of elimination your way to the rest of it, but it doesn't feel good because if it's actually just hard ZL locked, then you're going to have to go to Fire and kill Volv in Barren Fire just to follow the logical path. And that's it's a lot of commitment. Like, you have to be really sure that you're going down the right path to be willing to invest a few minutes in that.
I mean, you're losing a couple of minutes basically just in cutscenes as there's some double defense.
So I think Natheirean is now just giving up on the information and being like, okay, Domain's path, like, I need to confirm what this is because the seed's a mess. And it's easy for us to Monday morning quarterback it. We were able to leisurely analyze the information without having to run a seed as fast as possible at the same time. But at least we'll know for sure whether this is a bomb bag like we expect.
If this isn't a bomb bag, I'll be honest, if it's not a bomb bag, I've no idea what the fuck it could actually be. What's Egodev found? Hay sword, but we know Deck is foolish.
You've got to imagine Egodev is so nervous opening all these big chests, knowing that, oh, if it's just that last Triforce piece, I'm done. He's not done.
He's the Wanderer champion, if he finds it.
Yep. For right now, he's just the Wanderer.
There's another biggie.
That's just a troll further.
And it's another Poe. It's our second Poe bottle we've seen.
So I believe with that covers all of the checks in GTG. I think we saw the hammer room on Natheirean's side, so looks like it's not in GTG, which is what we expected, but it certainly trolled us with a lot of big chests along the way.
If you're a Natheirean fan, that's going to please you. There is still toilet, that is true. And we've had iron boots in a Wanderer location. We don't know what's there. Excuse me? Oh, I forgot there's a big chest here as well. There we go. Don't
Okay.
don't you dare do that to me.
Well, now
I
what?
think is he going to check the well?
Time to do Child's Shadow Temple.
You know, if you committed and said that forcefully enough, people might have believed you.
Yeah, but I think this is well, and I think well is a smart play given the circumstances because if Natheirean is kind of pieced together the moving parts of the seed at a high level, he's got to know that ZL is deep because of that piece in Forest Temple. So the chances of there being an out of logic piece available in bottom of the well seems plausible, and we know that's not the case. But this will also give him a chance to peek the at least two of the ZL lock chests as well, and if one of those chests happened to have been big, maybe it would put doing the ZL chain further up his priority list. So it makes a lot of
The,
sense given what he knows.
the alternative could be that he finds out actually everything that we know is like. It turns out that the actually hard Zelda's Lullaby check blocks are only keys, so actually, don't need to worry about getting it.
Yeah, so few places left for this last Triforce piece to be hiding. Could be maybe ZL locked in spirit, or kind of locked behind weird key logic in spirit, or ZL locked at the bottom of the well, and I think that's the end of the list based on what we know.
So the bombs in Zora's domain, that finally gives us a completable dungeon logically in Dodonga's Cavern. Path item in Galen's Castle, strength, or long shot, or hammer. Although those are not power, spirit's power, which was a second strength. So, yeah, deep spirit, I guess. That's my best option at this moment.
I mean, the math for bottom of the well is the most simple. So that's probably my first check, even though there's not a whole lot of checks remaining there. Just because, we know that's 11, for sure. It can't be in Jabu because the boomerang was in Forest Temple, and it would be confirmed to be a 12th item. So that is too deep. And also, Shadow is too deep for the same reason as Nocturne was on Minuet. So that eliminates those two dungeons.
I missed the first half of that. What were you saying?
We were just talking about why it can't be in Jabu and why it can't be in Shadow.
Yeah, I also don't think it can be mirror locked in Spirit because where did we find our mirror shield again? Hang on, this is on the note sheet. I can look at this. It was in Ice Cavern, and we haven't had an Ice Cavern path, which, if it was mirror locked, we absolutely would have had because we've had overworld path locations.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. Looks like Egodev gonna retrace Natheirean steps into Light Trial. Makes sense. And this actually opens up an opportunity for Egodev because we know that we need that hammer probably to get us to ZL. And Egodev, after doing Light Trial, will have the opportunity to do that if he wants to commit to it. And Egodev's bow has really helped him a lot this seed. Just eliminate a lot of potential locations where the Triforce piece now cannot be. Egodev knows that it can't be in Forest. He knows that it can't be in GTG. And kind of the only places left are ZL locked from his perspective. So going to Fire might be a much more attractive play for Egodev than it is for Natheirean, just based off of the checks that he can eliminate because of that bow. Alright, Egodev. Now what? You have the information. Probably ought to do Shadow too. I think he's remembering that now he can do that, which is a good call. Or not.
Natheirean's going off to do Child Spirit.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad play either. Just to confirm the keys, and also, if it's nothing, then you peek and you're out. And Egodev doing a trip into CAC. This could be towards Fire Temple. With the songs that we have, this is the fastest way there. But it could potentially also be Ice. I don't know.
Yeah, I must admit that I do say that I don't see the logic for going Ice, but that's only because we've been there and we know that there's nothing required.
Well, it's another potential 11 from his perspective, because we know that ZL has to be 10, and you throw in Rudos for 11. So, seems plausible, but we know that's not the case.
Yeah, and we did have Ruto's letter in a double path location. Although we now know that that's going to be for hover boots, presumably so you can beat Volvagia and the other, and actually the song in Graveyard, which is Minuet. And Egodev maybe can work that out, but he hasn't actually seen where, because he hasn't been to Epona's, as far as he's concerned, he doesn't know whether, he hasn't been to Ice Cavern, he doesn't know whether Minuet's in the Graveyard or whether it's in Ice Cavern.
Yeah, this is, I mean, we're starting to get down to the end of the time limit here. We got about 30 minutes left. And it's starting to look better and better for Egodev, to be perfectly honest, because he's kind of got all the items he needs as he heads to Lost Woods. Now I have questions. This looks like Ice. Okay. So now time is going to be exciting. So I take it all back.
Yeah, if Egodev was going to go Fire there and pick up Zelda's Lullaby, that would, I think, absolutely have put him in the driver's seat.
Yeah, because we know that it's not Ice, so it's easy for us to say, but I think it's a very defensible play, given the circumstances. It's just, we've got 28 minutes left. There's only a handful of dungeons it can be, but the problem is, you need to get ZL, and then you need to find whatever ZL is locking. And so it's that classic Blitz scenario where you've invested a lot of time in the seed to get ZL right at the end, and you kind of have to pick what to do with it, knowing that maybe you don't have time to get it all. I feel like we do have enough time to get it all if we play it correctly, but it's going to be a little bit exciting.
Natheirean's going to continue trying to clear out Child Spirit here. Ooh.
It's actually okay because he's got Dins, but it feels bad.
He does have Din's Fire, that is true. I'd forgotten about that. My theory about it being about being somewhere in Spirit is kind of rapidly running out of options. So, Back of Light Trial, maybe?
Well, that's interesting. So Natheirean quitting there, I think that's scumming a key. So that makes me think that he wants to come back to Spirit Temple as a doll.
He's setting up for an Age Chains.
Yeah, but he was playing Prelude and then he reset. So I think the reason he reset was to get a small key back, because
Yeah.
he's probably ZL locked out of further adult spirit, so wants to go back there as adult. That's actually a really savvy play, because if he doesn't do that and he screws it up, he's going to be forced to actually get ZL in order to get to those checks in adult spirit.
Spirit key logic strikes again. This is Serenade?
Now I'm really confused.
Yeah. Is he going to set up Scarecrow?
Why?
I don't know.
All right, everything made sense until he did this. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what he has in mind. But I don't have any answers at the moment.
He is setting up Scarecrow. Why? Like, because he knows it's not fire.
And it's just got to be like Adult Lake. I just don't know what is pushing him to Adult Lake at this point. Maybe he just thinks he needs to find a bow somewhere so he can go back to Forest Temple.
Yeah, that honestly would track.
I don't know. I just feel like if you're looking for a
more.
bow, like you want to go to Spirit because you might as well. Like you could find a bow in Spirit too, but that's just me.
Yeah, if I'm looking for it, I'm going to stop covering my mouth. If I'm looking for a path item or a wanderer item, I'm absolutely trying to do it in a location where I could also just stumble across a Triforce piece.
Well, I mean, I've criticized plays before and looked like a fool. So when the bow shows up here on Adult Fishing, Natheirean's going to look really smart.
I mean, got to be two other bows somewhere.
It would have been really cool if that had actually been a bow. I'm not going to lie.
I've got a theory for where there's a bow. 10 skulls?
Certainly could be. I mean,
Because
yeah.
I have no idea why those iron boots are Wanderer, unless it's Wanderer irons for GTG key logic, which is hideous.
Yeah, it seems unlikely. I mean, it could always be a treasure chest game. It's kind of the backdoor surprise waiting, but...
Oh, we did see Lens, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that.
Lots of appeasing possibilities.
The Lens was on adult shooting, right?
That is true.
So it can't be... It can't be a Wanderer bow. No, because that's bow locked. Scale, maybe? Is there a scale in there?
Is this our first skull of the seed? Yeah,
that
first skull.
I think Nath is trying to work out desperately what that Wanderer hint is for.
Alright, so back to Spirit now. Looks like done with Adult Lake. I think Natheirean maybe tried to give a shot to find a bow there in Adult Lake, but now is going to be back in the dungeons and potential for some new checks here. This, for all we know, could be it, maybe. This is Skull's first. Please go to Spirit Temple.
Yeah, he's got stuns, so he can change the time of day if he doesn't get there in time. Which he does. Excuse... Oh my god. Nath's just being bullied out here. Yeah, I see why they haven't gone to 5 because there's mention in chat. You don't have Bolero, and we're not going to get Bolero because it's on the Ocarina, which is behind Shadow and Jabu, which we have absolutely zero intention of going into. So you can't warp to Forest either. So you've got to warp to play Nocturne and then climb up DMT.
Wait,
Neither of them currently has Goron.
Egodev didn't open the chest, so he skipped a bonus song. That's crazy.
What?
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
That's bold in the extreme. I guess maybe he's worked out that it has to be opponents.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Bolero was hinted on OoT, so I don't necessarily hate it. I've just never seen a play like that before. Looks like he's going to do Child Spirit, and Natheirean is convinced by the skulls and is literally just farming 10 up as fast as possible.
I think Egodev must have run the sums and figures that that's got to be Epona in. Fuck that horse. Right?
Awkward silence.
Who knows?
Please don't. So.
Oh,
anyway.
Sorry, I missed that.
I was making a joke.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I got that. So I get it. I get that now. I should clarify. It's been a long day.
It has been a long day, and it's been a long seed too. This has been, I would say, one of the more brainy seeds that I've seen in a while. Lots of confusing logic and very high challenge level, and both of these runners doing their best to try and track down where that silly power piece is. And so far, I mean, if this was a co-op seed, I think they'd both be in great shape. But a little bit of running over each other's steps, and I mean, the classic 1 hour 40-minute skull rush kind of feels bad.
I wonder if this comes down to who, if either of them, actually just freaking commit to picking up Zelda's Lullaby. And it is bad because you have to go up Death Mountain Trail, and you've only got 3 hearts, and neither of you have a Goron tunic, and you have to farm rupees a little bit to buy one as well.
Yeah, or they could use a fairy with the empty bottle. I'm just worried about the time, because we've got about 19 minutes left, and if they put it off much longer, eventually it's going to be too late to actually commit to it and have enough time to follow up on whatever you find.
Did anyone count the keys in well? Because we've used one. Did we see either of the others, or did they have to be in the dead hand room?
I know we saw one of them on one of the underwater chests. I don't know if the second one was, so there may only be one of the checks on Dead Hand having a key.
Okay, right, I've missed one then. I'll take the L.
But I mean, that does mean that there's only one ZL block check in well. So committing, minutes to get that feels kind of bad. It does look like Egodev is going to show us the rest of Adult Spirit, so if it ends up being there, I'm going to feel really bad for Natheirean, because he had the opportunity to come back here, and as far as I know, he scummed the key, so he could have reached this area first, but instead chose to go for Skull, so
yeah, even
what shows up here.
Even played Requiem to go back into Spirit, only to use Furora's Wind back into Forest. There is certainly not a path item in Dodongo's Cavern, but there could well be a Wanderer item.
Yeah, I think the logic for bombs is pretty well solved at this point, so I understand why none of the runners want to go there. It's just it's way too shallow, and there's so many other places that you could go that could also potentially give you either info on where the piece is or give you the piece itself, so you prioritize those. Natheirean, what is the face
Is
of
not
someone
what it
who
wanted
hates
to be.
everything?
Well, the iron boots aren't Wanderer. That's one thing, but it is a wallet to beat Belvagia.
So, the seed is trying to tell us something, and I think Natheirean might have finally realized what the seed is trying to tell him. He's got enough time. If he goes now, he can still probably hit all the ZL lock stuff before time runs out.
Now, that is a very good question. Why would the seed get 10 skulls to pick up the wallet in Kakariko when it is already in the room where it picked up the long shot and the hammer, and there is a wallet there? And the answer is lol, Lamau.
Yeah, Wanderer does not optimize for human convenience. It is extraordinarily arbitrary with its decisions sometimes, and that's
I mean,
why it's called Wanderer.
Honestly, I'm kind of glad it is because it's funnier, but it certainly does not make it any easier for the runners.
So I think that pretty much kills the rest of Spirit, unless it's exactly this check.
Oh.
Bum, 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 bum.
Wow.
That was some amazing synergy there.
Thank you. I've tried. We may not have successfully synchro yeeted a rock, but boy, do we know how to lose in The Price is Right.
It's the important things.
But yeah, the seed is very much telling everyone, listen, lads, please, for the love of God, go and kill Volvagia. We're giving you the tools. Just pick up Zelda's Lullaby.
So, I mean, the top of Spirit is now dead because there was a small key, Lockbind Mirror Shield, so this for sure has nothing. Mirror Shield being too many now. And True Enigma asks who's winning. I mean, you could argue that either Natheirean is winning or nobody is winning. I'd kind of lean towards nobody, but that's just me being cynical.
Yeah, Natheirean got 2 pieces before Egodev, so if neither of them were to pick up the 3rd piece in time, then yes, Natheirean would take the win, and we'd see a game 3.
All right, Egodev. 13 minutes left. In Temple of Time, where are you going?
Field checks? Big pose? Question mark?
Yeah, hard to do big pose without opponent. Although I guess you could do it on foot if you really wanted to. Looks
You're
like
right.
He Shadow too. Ugh, brutal.
I must admit that I forgot that he didn't pick up Epona because he went all the way to the back of Ice Cavern.
I can forgive you for forgetting, certainly. You would think.
We know that Mirror can't be on the path because we found Mirror in a dungeon and we had overworld path hints, so we could not have had. So if Mirror was required, then we'd have had it hinted. Here, what's Natheirean finding? There's a bow.
Great, and now he will promptly proceed to waste the rest of his 12 minutes tracking down bomb checks that lead nowhere. So, that's kind of... I mean, Natheirean's probably like, finally, I found the bow that I've been searching for like 25 minutes, but actually, and he's gonna be like, it's in this chest, it's in this chest. It's not in this chest.
Yeah, he's not gonna like what he finds. Unless it is in his chest and somehow Egodev didn't check it. Spoiler alert, though, by the way. He did check it. It's a boomerang. Egodev found a bow on Frog's Wand.
Yeah, and that confirms that there's no path bow. we kind of knew that already, but confirms it. And Natheirean, I mean, the good thing for Natheirean is he went all the way to the bow chest in Forest, so he's going to be able to kind of zoom through the remaining checks here pretty quickly. You know, he's pushed the blocks already and all that, and had furores. But by the time he's done here, which is probably in like 2.5 to 3 minutes, he's going to have like 8 minutes left. And even if he goes to Fire Temple, he kills Volv and picks up ZL. Like, how many checks do you really have to be able to fit in that time remaining? Like, almost nothing.
Egodev's child, I think he's going Jabu.
Yeah, I mean, all I gotta say is, hey, Triforce Blitz, it's hard. It's freaking hard. Like, if you misinterpret the logic or get the counts wrong or things like that, or just get confused, like, you end up checking dead areas. I do think that Egodev may be checking domain, because domain,
That is also possible.
he has not done domain yet, so he hasn't verified that it's the bomb bag.
I think if Natheirean just suddenly worked it out and dipped now, played Nocturne, climbed through DMT, got a fairy, killed Volvagia, and then immediately child change went back to well, he might just about sneak it in. But I'll be honest, I think at this point, those of you who decided that we're actually not going to see the third Triforce piece might be quids in.
Yeah, if I could go back in time an hour and do that bet, I know how to put my money on. But for what it's worth, like, it doesn't actually take that long. And going to Bolero from Fire Temple, it's not that bad. So, like, I think he could comfortably get that one check in bottom of the well in after this if he goes straight there with no less than, like, 7-ish minutes. But I just don't know if he might want to go back to GTG even and commit to those checks. So yeah, it's a mess.
I mean, at this point, you want to be spending as much of your time in possible as much of your time as possible in dungeons, because, you know, even if it's somewhere that you think you've worked out it can't be, sometimes you make mistakes, and you know what? Got to be somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. You might as well, like, buy a lotto ticket, even if the odds are pretty bad, because maybe Egodev just thinks, like, can't get through fire in time. It's too late for that, perhaps. But yeah, it's looking pretty good for Game 3, though, because Egodev probably going to be spending the next 4 minutes here in Jabu at least, and the pressure's on him. If Egodev doesn't find this third Triforce piece in the next 8 minutes, then we are going to be having a third game sometime next week, presumably.
Yeah, I can't imagine after the seed we've just had that either of them are particularly keen to dive straight in.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll schedule it later for restreaming purposes as well. I mean, a Game 3 for the entire Wander Bracket Championship, like, that's pretty hype.
It feels only fitting, doesn't it?
Yeah, and our main bracket had a Game 3 as well, and that was really exciting. So,
oh my god, what a Game 3.
Game 3s. And this is... So I think this is probably for Upper Spirit now, too. So I think we're pretty hard... Oh, no, this is GTG. Okay, so this is the other option. So back to GTG, and that pretty much kills any chance that we had left of seeing this third Triforce piece. So we'll kind of hang out for the last few minutes, but I think the odds of Game 3 are pretty safe at this point.
Chat, if you've got any burning questions that you think we should ask, now would be a time to try and scheme them up, I think. I think my question is going to be, so have you guys worked it out? Because It'll be interesting to see after what they've done. Have they got any real read on where they think it is?
Natheirean has had second thoughts and is going to Prelude, and I've got no clue.
Maybe... No, I don't know either.
I'm wondering if maybe he thinks that there's no guard there, and that he was going to get locked out of Reverse Wasteland, but that's actually not the case. This is a PSA. The guard is always there. It used to be that it was only there if you had like random spawns, but in Triforce Blitz we made the change so that it's always there. So
you can never get locked out.
They're in doing pot farming. I mean, surely this has got to be for fire, but I feel like it's too late.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to buy a tunic, but I'm with you in that I don't know if he can get it in time, to be honest.
And yes, Chuckles, I think that guard change is coming to the main branch, because I saw I saw an update in Dev where they just made that guard always spawn, so I think that is coming to a weekly seed near you.
Get away, you can get around that guard not being there by never learning how to reverse Wasteland. There's a top tip for you all.
Well, now it's a skill that we don't need to do anymore, but quick! Get your guesses in chat, we've got a chess game!
Ruto's let alone on Ranch. Rip. I think Tobias is the only person still in at this point. Didn't go well for us. Oh, no. Now Tobias is out. Well done, everyone. That went well. Oh, there's more. I can't read. Ignore me.
Well, you almost had it. It was a Lon Lon Ranch Ruta's letter, not a Ruta's letter Lon Lon Ranch. So you're in the ballpark.
Oh shit! Purple won. Hang on. Have we got two winners? We have. This is. I feel like Craig Charles when someone actually wins an episode of Takeshi's Castle. I don't quite know what to do in this scenario. It's weird.
Quick run.
Yeah, just get out of here now. Yeah, Nath he's gonna go for the uber quick kill on Volve and run out of time, basically, I think is the strategy here.
I mean, maybe he can. Maybe he can get like one check in bottom spirit. Maybe. We'll see. One heart too. It's if only this was done 2 minutes ago, it would be a different story.
The spoiler log would tell you what the paths are. For tournament races, the spoiler logs are not unlocked by default, but if we're very nice, we can persuade/bribe spell into unlocking them, I think.
I don't think it's going to be necessary because I have a feeling that Natheirean will be more than willing to check the final like 3 or 4 locations in the seed where it could possibly be once CL is in his inventory.
Yeah. Interestingly, when he kills Volvagia, I wonder what he does.
I'm not convinced it
Does
matters.
I don't know. He might have time to... Well, he probably doesn't.
I mean, by the time he picks up the medallion, and he's got to go back to Temple of Time to pick up the song, that's the real killer. By the time he does that and all the cutscenes plays, like, there's certainly no way he can age change. I think the only check he can even possibly get to is Compass, Chest, and Spirit, but like even that, I think is too late for that.
Light Trial 2, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's too late for that too.
It's too late for that.
It's 45 seconds left by the time he's going to play Prelude here. It's unfortunately, it's just too late. But it doesn't matter because he has that beautiful little clock icon, and when the timer expires, he is going to be the one forcing a game 3. So, the dream's alive.
By the way, that confirms with the magic on Hot Rodder that it was the hookshot that was Path in Lost Woods, which we suspected. Why is that hookshot Path?
I'm sure there's some reason.
Because we don't need it to get into fire. I mean, time's up. So, I still can't work... I need to work out why that hookshot's Path.
Well, congratulations to Natheirean, forcing a game 3. So, we've got another game 3 in our finals. I'm sure we'll kind of poke Natheirean to keep going and at least check these remaining few chests so that we can get some closure on where that last piece was. But certainly the choice to go GTG early into Forest got that tiebreaker with much more time to spare than the last seed. So I think fairly won by Natheirean. Fair play in the seed, even though the last piece ended up being pretty elusive. Yeah. Let's see if Natheirean, wisely dropping down, not killing himself, falling into the well. Done that a few times. But yeah, we'll see if we can get them in for an interview shortly. But until then, stay tuned.
In the meantime, we have two very interested parties joining us in chat. Egodev and Natheirean. GG's.
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 This was a interesting seed.
That's one way of putting it, yeah.
Might have been hunting for a bow for about an hour, but then it turned out not to pay off.
Yeah, so this seed, I think, it had probably a lot more drama for you, the runners, than it did for us, the observers, because Egodev found a bow very early on Frogs 1. And so all of the potential places where I'm sure Natheirean, you were convinced the last piece was hiding, we knew it was not there the whole time. So we were pretty sure it was, well, either in where you're about to go or in Spirit Temple for about 30 minutes. But based on your information, you guys, went all over the place. So that looks like a big chest. Here we go. Question mark.
It is the most troll big chest.
Oh, it's not there. Okay.
Good to see that the seed still has a cracking sense of humour.
Now, I'm assuming this is it, because getting to ZL is 10, because Minuet makes 11 for that piece.
Yeah.
So the only thing that makes sense to me to adding one step is Storms.
That's what chat has worked out as well.
And I unfortunately realized it too late. I mean, it didn't matter because I guess I had found the second piece sooner, but like I was like, Do I have enough time to do this?
No, I've
Beating
got
Wolf
it.
is not fast.
Zelda's Lullaby is 10, and that gets you the ice arrows to get your final Triforce piece on
Oh, another
Bongo.
big chest.
Done.
It's probably, it has to be right here. I don't know where else it could be. Yep. I was on the right path. I just realized it's too late.
There you go.
Got there in the end.
All right. Well, GG's. I guess why don't we throw it over to Egodev? Do you have any thoughts on the seed? Tell us your thoughts about how you played this one.
Actually, I was happy that I went child early. I thought it did pay off, but later after I found the 2 pieces, I kind of got lost in the logic. So because I broke it too much. That's
I was
how
definitely feeling the same
I
way.
say.
You were not alone.
I noticed you paused mentally for a second after you opened that chest in Forest Temple, because you were definitely not expecting the Triforce piece to show up there.
No.
How did you deal with that? How do you try to strategize when you get a big piece of unexpected information so suddenly?
So I was like thinking, okay, this is either 9 or 11. If it's 11, then there's can be 2 here. And if there isn't 2, then it's information anyway. So, so it could be for 9. But as I played this season, noticed that ZL was Burning Cack, I think. Because I never got the hint. But by elimination.
Burning Cack
Probably.
was, I want to say Bolero. Let me double check.
Burning
Cack
Cack was
Bolero.
Arias.
Yeah,
But,
so ZL was on Prelude behind Volvagia.
Oh, okay. So that
Yeah,
was,
which put whatchamacallit,
okay.
put Minuet in Composer.
So that makes sense, the hammer and the strengths, alright.
Yeah, so Light Trial is actually hard required because you do need to kill Volvagia using that hammer in Light Trial to get ZL for that last piece.
Oh, so I wasn't bad at all at that point. Oh, I'm sad now. There was a half an hour to try to get if I realized that. But like I said, I broke too much of the logic and I got lost. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that was partially why I started going back in my steps, like checking all the path locations. I'm like, 1, there could just be a path bow somewhere, and 2, like, it does help a little bit to unravel, like, what the hell you just skipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, finding the Triforce piece in Forest is such a huge piece of information because you have like the hook shot available right away. And so really the only thing that's locking that piece is just Forest access. And with all the Triforce pieces so deep, you know that, wow, okay, Forest access has to be really locked very deep. And it's just like kind of a big thing to deal with. But I guess for Natheirean, so how did you handle the seed? Like, we know you were in bow mode for a very long time, but were you nervous that like you felt like, oh, as soon as I get a bow, like I'm going to be able to get the piece, or were you entertaining other possibilities? How did you think about it?
I was like 90% sure it was bow locked. Like, obviously, like there's a few checks that aren't bow required for like it could does not be enforced. It makes sense because it's 2 11s, and usually when you have these weird convoluted chains, like it tends to work out, especially when your 11 step is Minuet. It just so happened that our other 11 step was just Storms. That was our starting song that will never be hinted. And so I didn't think of it right away. It wasn't until you saw me. I like started to reverse back to GTG, and I was like, wait a second, what if it's in Storms? But by the time I realized it was just not enough time. If I had Bolero, maybe I could have made it, but it's a lot of hiking.
Yeah, and we thought you might actually go there because you farmed up the 10 skulls, kind of going all over the place for that. And then you got the wallet, and you were clearly displeased. And we were thinking maybe this will be the thing that that triggers you to go to fire. But
Yeah.
you
The reason I did 10 skulls was because I saw that Cack Wanderer, and those Iron Boots just didn't lead to anything. So I'm like, what is this Wanderer for? And of course it was Wallet, because there was another Wallet in Light Trial.
Yeah, but they just wanted you to get your ZL. They're just trying to help you. Everything.
Yeah, I think at that
You want
point,
the
I
ball?
didn't realize the possibility of it being in well, because I was trying to think, okay, so if ZL puts you at step 10, what could possibly like give me an item that would put me into like another 11 somewhere else? I couldn't think of anything until it's too late.
Makes sense.
Well, I'm out of questions. Thank you both for putting on an awesome race, and thank you in advance for putting on another awesome race because you've given us the gift of a game 3 later on. So I guess I'll throw it over to Benjy to take us out. But thank you for an exciting race after a nice palate cleanser after whatever that game 1 was, and we look forward to another good one for game 3 coming up whenever that ends up being.
So, as always, thank you very much to our runners, and I must say I'm very excited for Game 3. Natheirean and Egodev have done a wonderful job all tournament of displaying the quirks and foibles of the Triforce Blitz format, so I can't wait for Game 3. Thanks to our trackers today, Purple, Baseball, and Ginger, who was also pulling double duty as today's race monitor. I'm Benjy. I will continue. I nearly said I have been, but I will continue to be Benjy as well after the stream finishes. Thanks to Elagatua for picking up the slack when my internet died, and as always, just having a much better read of the seed than I did. And although we didn't put the command for it in chat, thanks to Tobias, who was our restreamer for today, and is always a even whether it's tracking or on comms or restreamer. One of those engines that helps the Silver Gauntlets tick. So thanks to everyone involved with today's seed.